Hello everybody. How you doing? Welcome to a new live stream. My name's John Skippy Lim Cool. Welcome. I have something kind of fun to show you. I was playing around with kind of a what if I just let's just play. Use all these libraries, well not all of them. I was selective, but I used the BBC Symphony Orchestra, I used Omnisphere, I used Hive, I used Miss Mill's piano, which I'm going to show you. There's a whole bunch of new unified libraries. Bring up the level in Unify a bit. I can't. You'll see why. This is just the beginning. I mean, there's a lot to... Maybe I'll turn down my voice a little bit to normalize it. Missed my chord. So, I'm playing with the different layers. There's 8 layers of different sounds. Fun. I mean, this is what it's about. This is where we were aiming at getting, and we're there. Here's Hive. These two sounds. This bass. It's going through a dirty delay that's got some distortion on it. And then there's a lead, little TP303 kind of thing. Now I will give you this patch. I have to tell you it requires a lot of gear to make it work, and I'll run down the list. And you can like repatch things to other things if you want. But it's very much patch dependent what it's doing. It's using Percussa with Omnisphere for these parts. Right here, these 2 parts. This is Percussa, a library I did for Omnisphere with all sorts of creative sound design for percussion. There's 2 parts. There's And then, right? Then from the BBC Symphony Orchestra, we have strings. Right? Then we have a patch that I made for Miss Mills' piano, which is called Gotham Remembers. Again, I'll show you all these guys in the libraries when we get there. And then the Percussive Patches. There's a Cloud City patch. Just doing a groove, but you put it with everything else, and it's pretty cool. And then the two Hive Patches. Now, if you have this gear, you can play this patch. I'm so bummed. My 64 audio in-ear monitors, the connection on one of the ears got disconnected, and so I can't use them. So I'm having to use my Klipsch ear monitors, and they're latex, and I'm allergic to latex, so they make my ears just itch like crazy. Let's see here. Let's get to this patch, and I'm gonna pull it up here and put it into Dropbox so that you can play. We'll stuff it just to be safe. Let's go over here to Dropbox, to this folder right here. Put this into here. Again, I wasn't planning on sharing this, but I'm happy to give you the link. Here's the link. Again, you need BBC Symphony Orchestra Core. You need Unify and Cloud City, of course. Unify, of course. You need the BBC, or you need the Mrs. Mills piano, which is a $29 acoustic upright piano that's wonderful. I unified that yesterday. And then you need Hive, and you need Omnisphere 2 and Percussa. So that's the list of plugins. There's a couple things I did in here that were kind of fun I wanted to share. For example, in the BBC Symphony Orchestra libraries, they typically respond. I have this thing set up so I can move the mod wheel. And actually, it does even more than that. If I wanted, I could... And I'm doing that. I have to the left and the right 2 separate Guru samplers. Her pitch bend up in one case is taking it down 12 semitones, because we can do negative values even when you're doing a positive pitch bend. And I have lag on it so that it becomes like a siren call. And on the other side, instead of going down, it's going up 24 semitones. So you have that happening, and I wanted it to do that and not have the strings disappear. If the strings were playing, I wanted to be able to bring up the and typically when you bring the mod wheel back down, that's telling the BBC Symphony Orchestra plugins to play super soft. That's the dynamic slider, and that was like not going to work. So I used MIDI filter on the input, and you just click right here and you choose what MIDI CC you want it to ignore. And you can have up to 6 that you'd say, don't let that pass. So by doing that, that stopped it so that it wouldn't work. Now you might go, but you've still got MIDI CC doing things. I do have MIDI CC doing the other parts on this. So that's what's the key to that, is that this layer here, I don't have, and even if I did, my macro knobs can still be set up like this to be connected hardware-wise so that they bypass MIDI CC data, and it's a physical connection. If I move this knob, it will affect itself and work. So, and it's fun. I mean, be able to turn on and off the parts. On top of this, if you can see, I have question Skype related to Mrs. Mills. I think let me see here. Skype get running. I had nothing to do with the M1 piano. I was working at a music store in Seattle at the time, and that's not the piano that they recorded. No, they wanted a bright piano like that, but no, it's not the same piano. So I have a lot to show you. This is a live stream of libraries, which is why I wanted to start with, like, what can you do with libraries, right? Well, here's what you can do with libraries. You can get them working together in really cool, fun ways. And so we'll build something else up towards the end. I want to point out we now have a rather healthy list of libraries that have been unified this week. In the video description, you can find links for PolyMode, Miss Mills Piano, which we'll look at in a minute. Hive 2 is like the big star of the show. 2,400 patches. I think Jeremy is here. Mr. Jeremy is our... I love Hive. Hive is a wonderful... And I'll tell you, the main plus that happens with the unifying of the libraries is that we go through and we put a category at the beginning of the name. So all of these patches that are spread all throughout 2,400 patches are grouped. So you can easily just right click, add additional patches. Here's 3. Because these other 2 are Unify layers, what's fun is you can open Unify, open up Browse, and like cycle through the patches. Right? Hold down Option, because all 3 of these playing at their volumes that they're playing at are really loud. But you guys probably like it loud. The level's funny. But shout out to Jeremy Hall. Jeremy did the conversion of 2,400 Hive patches. He's got his system is down, so it's not by hand one at a time. He has a great system where if you saw the folder of what else I have already unified to add, Avenger is in there. The Applied Acoustics Chromophone is coming. So many. So being able to go to different programmers, the way that they do their names is they have the names of the programmers in here. So HS is Howard Scar, KS is Kevin Schroeder, who's another wonderful programmer that worked a lot on this. He's famous for a lot of his patches for Dune, for having him... And then transpose things if you want down and stuff like that. So this library converted is just a gold mine. There is so much. Layer the drums to make new drum sounds. The key sounds are great. Just so much to play with. It's really, really, really cool. Yes. Thank you again to Jeremy. It's amazing our community of people that work together. Thomas and Craig were working with Jeremy to get to where it's working the way it's working. Just a wonderful synth. The interface is really big and vast. There's a lot going on here. We should do a live stream at some point or a video just on Hive and programming it, because there is a lot to it. If you don't have these, I haven't put these into Unify yet, but I should at some point. Let's see here. Let me give you the link. I made some Hive patches that I give away for free. Where is the Hive? Let's go Hive. In here, copy a link. You have to place these manually if you want to try these out. There is my free Hive patches that, if we go into the presets, I have them here. There's some fun. This is back when I was working with Seth Norman, who's now with Spectrasonics, and we were working on what would maybe be a aggressive dirty bank for Hive. So that link that I just provided will give you this set of patches. Right? Crazy stuff. And that was done with Hive 1. That's before Hive 2 or 2.1 even came out. There's so much now going on in Hive. It's really cool to work with. The XY controller is great. I know a couple of people that are working in libraries for Hive that sound really, really cool. It's a great synth. So this has been unified. All the patches are there along with the other UHI products. So Zebra, Zebra HZ, Repro, another library that I absolutely love, Diva, and Bazil have all been unified. Bazil is like off. I love a lot of the BPM stuff in Bazil. It has such a cool sound character to it. And Bazil looks like this. It's a semi-modular synth. It's got wiring behind the scenes, but you have patch points to connect cables all over the place. And as you go through the patches, the filter is wonderful. But that's Futura. So you can go like this, and here it is as a Unify patch. And what's fun is you have multiple pages. You have 3 pages of knobs, including actually all 4 oscillators. So you can do a lot in real time with the knobs, and these are all available to immediately be automated into your sequencer. So that's very fun. The Spitfire Labs library has been updated with some additional patches. There might be one more update. Someone sent me a note that they had a patch, but I didn't get it into this in time because I didn't have a link for the patch. But there's over 300 patches, including all of the bonus patches you guys made. Right? So this is a wonderful resource now. There's so much stuff sound-wise that's creative and beautiful. And Labs is free. You can go to the SpitfireAudio.com website, and they have a link for Labs to get you set up to download Labs. There's something like 23, 24 libraries now that you can go through that go through all sorts of categories, vocals, guitar, all sorts. They're all free downloads. All said and told, it's about 3-something gigabytes of memory. So not a huge footprint. I mean, there's a lot of pianos and so forth out there that take up all that space just for one piano. Here there's a soft piano. There's all these really wonderful little libraries of different unique textural pads. And take that. Let's go to the soft piano and load that. Turn this down a little bit. And then maybe for something like this, I'd go to EQ to filter max, turn on high pass, and then put this through some nice reverb. Maybe give it a cool ambience. Let's say water verb. Oh, I forgot the high pass filter. I replaced it. So go over here, EQ filter max again. And then for fun, go down here. Let's go here and say, oh, let's use like a knob that we don't have assigned. So we go over here to number 8, link parameters. I want to control this filter. My goal is this. Find the knob that you want to have change. I want to be able to do that with a knob. So you go over to the macro knobs. Here in the top left corner, you hit plus. This is on instrument 1, the pad, and it's an effect. And here's my 2 effects. So I go to filter max, and here it is. Filter frequency is the name of the knob. If you look over here, you'll see it says frequency. So that's what it is. And as you move this, you can control and hear with your ears, which is wonderful, exactly where you want the top and bottom to be. Now, and if you want to like get more fancy, you could put a low pass filter to control the high end at the same time, have them dovetail on the same knob. There's so many places to go with creative sound design with Unify, because every plugin you see on the screen, I can connect any of the parameters to a knob. So say I want to bring up this, which is the reverb. That's an auxiliary synth. So I go back here to the link parameters. I hit the little plus because I want to add something else. I go to instrument 1, auxiliary synth, and it's number 1. Boom. Now I have this doing filtering, and as it filters to be thinner, it's getting more reverb. So I bring this down, the reverb is going to become less. And what I might want to do at that case, like the volume jumps because it's more energy, right? So go over here to textural pads to mix volume. I'm fine for it to start there. When I bring it down to the soft, I'm going to be right there. So it starts soft. And as I bring this up, it's going to get louder. So this is the type of fun stuff you can do, because everything you see on the screen, you know how all these synthesizers have modulation sources inside of them for, each plugin. What's wonderful with Unify, and will give you goose pimples once it hits your head, is that you have access to the modulation controls of every plugin and all of the parameters of Unify in real time on a single knob. We don't limit you. If you saw Hive, it gives you 2 modulation sources. We don't do that. You have unlimited modulation sources per knob. You can have one knob literally changing 24 things in different parts, in different ways. If I wanted the curve to be a little bit different, like maybe when the volume comes up, I wanted to get into the high pass range a little quicker. So go to filter frequency, click and drag the curve. And by doing this, this is going to accelerate the rate that it's going to get into the high pass filter range. Like whilst doing all this, if I also wanted it to bring up the piano reverb, for example, right? So go plus, instrument, soft piano, auxiliary synth, number 1. And let's just have it crank so when it gets up there, and I want to kind of hurry up, so I'm going to give it a plus curve like this. So now as I move this knob, now I have all this reverb on the piano. As I bring this down, the reverb goes away. So you have access to controlling the parameters in really cool ways, which is really, really fun with these libraries. So labs, we did labs. PolyMode by Cherry Audio is a wonderful recreation of a funky early synthesizer called the PolyMode that Moog created. The interface is interesting. The filter is done through resonator banks, so it's a very... I actually prefer to go to the knobs because I've set it up to where I'm controlling the tonality. And if you look at this, it's changing all of these parameters to get this effect. So there's a lot going on with some of these. This has decay release, so it's got 2 parameters to it. You have access to the reverb. And if you look at the list of parameters inside of this plugin, it's interesting. They have on and off for the effects for echo and for reverb and so forth. So these is say on and off. If you see, I have it where at the very bottom, it turns it off. So it's totally off. And as soon as you move to here, it's now on, but then you have the mix start up. It's got to catch the latch for turning them on. But this has a really interesting, different sound. It's not just synthesis, but the way that sound is channeled through the engine of the PolyMode was very unique. And so recreating this has a cool effect. So we unified that. And then we get to Miss Mills Piano. This is available at Spitfire Labs, fireaudio.com. And this is a piano that was recorded at Abbey Roads. It's a very famous piano because it's been used on the Beatles albums back in the early 70s and 60s. It's got a unique character. It's $29. It's its own separate plugin. Like all of our libraries, it's the VST2. I've gotten a couple emails from people saying, I loaded the library, it doesn't work. As usual, go to your plugin list and scroll down to see, I think this is called Miss Mills. Let's see here. LM. Oh, here, let's do it from this page because I can type in. It's a little bit easier to find. Miss. Oh, it's MRS. So Miss Mills, it's VST. So it's originals dash. So that's how you'd find it on the plugin page. So it's under originals. So go down here to O. Originals. Why don't I see it? Oh, because I'm not in O's yet, am I? Originals. Right here. Miss Mills. You want to make sure it's the VST version, not VST3, not audio unit. If you need to get the VST version loaded, then you go to operations. You can say select plugin files to scan, navigate to your VST folder. It's originals, so ORI originals. There's the epic strings, and if I go by name, there's Miss Mills Piano, and just say open, boom, it will immediately grab it. You don't have to restart or anything, and now the patches will work. And it's a really nice piano. It sounds, it will take probably a minute to load up because, as usual, these Spitfire Labs libraries take Take a little time to load. It's got that bright, they actually hardened the hammers. It's not that piano, but you can almost get away with it. But it's got a cool vibe to it. From the knobs, you have access to all of the parameters, and it's easier to work with than... I'm not a fan of the Spitfire Audio minimal interface, where this stuff is tucked away, and you can click this to choose which you want to see and change them one at a time. You have brightness, and the expression right here is kind of interesting in that it actually gets rid of the lower dynamic velocities and velocity. So it's only the brightest of the piano, even when you play super soft. So that's their reverb, all sorts of parameters are there. You have access to those here as well. Also on page 2, you have the microphone positions for the close mic, the room mic. Vintage is a mono mic. We have a pump house all ready to get going, so if you need to. And the rate of the pump. So you can set it to the values that you want and so forth. You have tune. Now, one thing I want to point out, they have a parameter in here called tune. And I called it stretch tune just so that you're clear. It's not transposing, it's actually stretching the sample so that you're playing that sample at plus 23 semitones. And there's a couple things to notice with this. If you have the tightness at minimal and you tune it way down, you can hear how huge the gap is. I learned sample editing from Eric Persing, and he is one where there is absolutely zero gap before the very first evidence of audio, whereas Spitfire Audio is kind of the opposite of that. There is just, hear me hit the keys? There's a lot of space. Tightness moves into the samples. The only problem with this is that their amount of space before the samples is different per sample. So while you can get this to be right for one sample, it's not going to be right necessarily for another sample. So it's not that smart. It's just, I think, moving everything a set amount at a time. But you can get the tightness. You can go over and lose the attack. You don't want to do that. Anyway, there's cool tricks you can do with this. I have set up the stretch tune so that it has a little plateau. So if you get somewhere in this range, it hits. I'll give you a tip if you guys are trying to do this at home. Even though this is a value of plus 12 semitones, if I say double click and say plus 12 semitones, it goes way off the spectrum, because most synthesizer parameters, it's done by a value of 0 to 1. So the actual correct value is 0.6666. And then if you do that, the way to find out is then open up the interface and look at what the tune is. And if I have this, just to show you how this is, if I just say 0.6, right? Instead of 0.66666, the tuning is now 7.20 semitones. And if I go 0.66, gets a little closer, but you look up here and now it's 11.52. So it literally takes all 4 decimal points of this to be 6666. to equal exactly 12 semitones. And what you can do with this, if you transpose this up, say by plus 12 semitones, and then go over here to the transpose of this layer and transpose it down by 12, you are now back to playing at that pitch like it's supposed to be, but you're playing a stretch sample, which means you're actually playing the next note up in octaves. You're playing that note instead of this note, but it's transposed up. So you can do some fun things. If you take this in the negative, you can get into really cool, surreal bell tones. So if this is minus, the rule is this: if this goes in the negative, then you go in the positive. So here's plus 12. If you want to take it even farther, go 24. So now I'm playing samples that reside normally up at the very top of the keyboard, 2 octaves lower. And it's a whole different universe. And this works with all of the originals. You could go to the strings. I can show you those if you wanted to see those, but they have a $29 set of strings. That is nice. Anything that has that tuning where it's get the wide range, you can get into. That's where the Gotham Remembers comes from. That piano is created with the stretch of the piano at different ranges. The piano down low. Then up high, I have it only at, I use the key zone and use 2 layers, because once you transpose like 24 semitones, I think this C equals C8 on the keyboard. So anything above that doesn't play. So, and also the fun with stuff like this is you can add effects with different amounts of effects and mix and so forth. So this is what I started with when I did the little opening little film score cue thing. So they have 5 presets. Mono 1968, all 3 microphones together. Clean. And I saved these with the settings identical to what it is when you call it up inside of it. Close. I think it's 8 velocity layers, and then distance. They have the room emphasized. It's great for $29. It gets even better in Unify because, as I showed you, Gotham Remembers is this big epic. It's hard to believe it's the same piano. Here's that piano by itself. Bright Sunny Days got FM from DX. Then we get into some cinema, both soft, dry. Hard to believe you can get this same piano just by putting a really nice, I think 24 dB low pass filter. And then Dreamy is like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Same piano, just with effects. We do the stretches. So And then the 2 octave. Again, C is where it stops because this C is actually that sample. You can actually transpose it lower, but then get nice aliasy. King Kong piano is and then Perfect Dream is a combination of 2 or 3. Yeah, it's got the electric piano, dreamy beginnings, and then the wood flute. And I have them fade out so that there's a dynamic little breathing to the sound. Okay, so Miss Mills for $29 is a no-brainer. When you put it in Unify, it becomes a double no-brainer. Plus the fact that you could take and you could say, copy this layer, right? Maybe like this whole setting. You could go to Unify to the standard library to any of the keyboard patches and add it. Just as simply as doing this. Let's say we go to the soft suitcase. Go to layer and say paste layer. Boom, there's Miss Mills. Let's get our levels right. Or I could go to the piano and say I wanted to layer this with our piano. So we could go to like this. Steinway version 2 has the velocity of a bright to cut. Let's cut even more by adding Miss Mills. So paste. Pretty cool. So it is made in Unify is so easy to copy layers and paste into another patch. And if you like this, hit save. Save it to your folder so you have it to access and call back anytime you need it. All you do, the little bullet next to the layer, solo the layer, go. I like that. I'm going to use that somewhere else. So turn off solo because solo is actually remembered in the copy paste. Go over to the little bullet. Right here it says copy layer. So it has copied this layer with pump house, with the loudness to give it a little bit more body. And now I can go to any other patch and I could say, try that. So go over to layer and right here where it says paste layer, just select that and it will put the layer that's in its buffer. Now, maybe in a case like this, I'd go over here and I'd say, I need to like match them up a little bit closer. So I'd add filter max, go to low pass filter. That's better. Right? Maybe a little bit brighter. If you're working with a filter, a couple tips. This dB slope is really important to work with. So is Q. When Q is all the way down, the effect of the filter is less noticeable than. As you bring this up to 24 dB, if you can picture like this, like to the left where it's lit is frequencies you're hearing, to the right are the frequencies you're not hearing. There's a curve like this. And the sharper it gets, the more clear that line between high frequencies and the ones being cut out. When you go to 48 dB, really a fine line, so you can really, like if I keep this here and I go to 12 dB, check the difference. Hear those high frequencies being let in? If you don't want those high frequencies to be let in, increase the shape or the intensity of this. Basically, this is the intensity of that split between the one frequencies that it's killing and the frequencies it's keeping. The higher the dB, the more sharp that it just really does more of a, it's a thicker net for frequencies. Here's 12. See how it's bright? Less than 48 dB. So the higher the dB, you can set that shape for the filter, how it's gonna control the mix. It's really nice. Oh, I'm glad you guys are enjoying UniChill. Okay, so let's see. What are you guys talking about over here? Danielle, why is the Unify preset free? Because somebody asked if I could send it to them, so that if they have the plugins to play it, then you can play it. If you don't have the plugins to play it, then don't download it. It's not for you if you don't have all the plugins. We're free to share. This data I'd like to share, so that's not a problem to me. Okay, so we've got those libraries unified. We have inside of, we're going to shift our gear to Omnisphere and Unify. To start with, let's go to Omnisphere by itself, because there is an update to a library that is a wonderful library, and I want to give you guys a link to it if you don't know about this. It's the Bob Moog Tribute Library that Spectrasonics released 10 years ago. They're celebrating 10 years by releasing an update to the library, which now has 500 additional patches. All of these people that are big names in the industry contributed either samples or patches or both to it. And so it's definitely a really cool thing that Eric organized all of these people. You can get patches and samples from Hans Zimmer that he's done, from Danny Elfman, all sorts of amazing musicians in our industry. And it's a library right here, the Moog Tribute Library. And if we go over here to, if you type in, is it version 2, 1.2, I think it's, what I do is this. If you want to like search for a keyword, load up a patch. Oh, do I have this on? Turn it off. I don't want autoplay on. And then go over here to look at the tags. You can hit edit tags to see, and you'll come across some that are I think if I say version 1.2, no, 1.2, there's a certain, I figured this out at one point, because they let's see, if we go here, they don't have version type for this library. So if you want to see what the patches are that are the new patches, it's challenging. In fact, let's see if I remember right. You go here. This will show you the tags. Oh, version 2.0. Version 2.0. Okay, so version 2.0, if I search that, that limits it down to just the 500 new patches. So you can see keywords version 2.0. And what this is a library of a ton of really interesting Yeah, let's do this. Let's turn off. Let's go over here and turn off layer A. Samples that are in many cases from mini Moogs, and not just mini Moogs though. There's all sorts of places they come from. I should go over here to directory Moog tribute library. All sorts of cool stuff, sample-wise. Eric recorded his OMG1. So these are the samples that are used to make the version 2.0 patches. Well, actually, all the patches are used. If you go to this view right here to layers, you'll see as you're going through the patches, what came from what samples were used. And the nice thing with this library, on top of all the people that contributed on the patches, it's $100. So it's not an inexpensive library, but 100% of the earnings goes to the Bob Moog Foundation. And Michelle Moog is like a dear friend, and she has carried on her father's legacy. They're working on a museum to open to keep all the documents and everything in the early days of research and so forth that turned into the Moog Synthesizer Company. Education in schools, all sorts of things like that are going on. So it's a wonderful cause to support. It all goes to funneling into the Bob Moog Foundation and all the places they're doing outreach to help educate the next generation of electronic musicians that are in kindergarten and in early school and maybe in music labs. There's all sorts of things they're doing. So please contribute if you can. It's a really, really, really cool resource. There's now a crazy number of patches. I think it's like 1,300 patches. So it's a really cool library. Now, I'll tell you, one of my favorite patches I ever made is in this library. It's a patch I did as a tribute for my dog. My dog Keisha had recently passed away, and finding peace at the end was a patch I made for her. Just beautiful. So I play this and I remember my dog. Right? There's some other fun ones, those Angry Birds. Riding the Silver Pony. So I contribute, all these people contributed. It's amazing how many patches by so many just wonderful programmers in all sorts of genres, all in one library. It's a very, very cool come together of resources and community. And so if you don't own it, please consider getting it if you can. Which brings us to our first of our two third-party libraries that have been created for Omnisphere, but also now include Unify patches. This is Rocky Mountain Sounds RedMod. It's a Moog tribute library pads. It's $19. You can find it at the RockyMountainSounds.com website. And it's got like 500 patches, and they've all been saved into Unify format. And there's some wonderful ones in here. Let me show you real quickly as we go through some of these. There's textures, and some of these are multis. So this is actually calling up 3 different sounds. Right? Synthetic motion. He made some Z bonus patches, so these are not found in the Omnisphere version. Some very cool ones. But then there's 500, all these pads. I mean, if you need pads, and because of the Moog library's unique characteristics, there's some really unique stuff. So for this to work, you need to own both Omnisphere 2 and the Moog library, the tribute library. So if you own the Moog library and you own Unify and you own Omnisphere, then please support Jason. I'm sure he's here in the chat. Shout out to Jason for doing this. It's a lot of work to convert libraries, but it pays off. It's so great to have. Now you can go over to any other library. We could go to Hive, go through the pads here, say add this to this, and now we've added the libraries all work together. Now you can play through all of them, and it's in Unify format, so it's very fast. So that's wonderful. Shout out to Jason. The next library I want to show you is by my friend Yop. He owns Triple Spiral Audio, and he has some really cool things in the works. This is just a start. I'm so excited. He is supporting Unify with this new library, so it's coming out. You can get it, and it comes with Unify patches from the get-go. So that's really exciting for us. Zembla is the name of the library. Let me show you this. This is, oh, I need to go up here and say Zembla. I'm in the wrong place. Come on. Zembla. Zembla for Omnisphere. Triple Spiral Audio has a whole bunch of really great libraries. They actually are working with a whole community of programmers. 15 days left at its introductory price. The Eastern Sound Collective has some libraries that are exclusively available here, which are really cool. One for, what's the products? If you go products, I can see real quick because I forgot the name of it. But a Deep Planet, I believe, right? Please wait a minute. Well, let's figuring that out. There's BPM, there's pads. This whole library is based on the concept of a frozen world. Here's all the libraries. There's so many libraries. Different companies have brought out libraries that are available here. Stingray, their libraries are available with Unify patches as well. So please check them out. Let's see, Omnisphere 2. European Sound Collective, yeah, the European Deep Forest, that's what it was. I will tell you, we're working on a version of Heartbeats for Unify, which is really, really cool. These are drum loops. And in the Omnisphere version, they're using granular, which is CPU heavy, and it kind of falls apart audio-wise a little bit. We're using recycle, so in Unify, it's going to play and sound really great, be easy to change the patterns up and do all sorts of fun things. So that is coming later this year. So many other great libraries. So they've been very busy. They've got lots of libraries. And Zembla, let me play some more of the patches. Everything makes you feel a little cold. Right? So that's the vibe of this library. It's just and everything works together, so you could go over here and say Long Night 4. Let's load that up too. Really, really cool stuff. There's all sorts of soundscapes and sound scenery type of things. Let's add that. So if you love this vibe, it's got it in spades. And this is a library that's using new samples. So it's not just using the sound sources inside of Omnisphere, it's using its own unique samples for a lot of the patches we're hearing. So a lot of work went into this. It came out great. And again, it works with everything. So we can go to the standard library, maybe to a more straight ahead pad to like kind of ground this a little bit more. So if we said something like even pad worthy would be nice. Where's pad worthy? Load this. Maybe down an octave. So I'm just adding a pure little, add that to all that icy stuff. It's really cool. And then we could go to Percussa. We could go to something like maybe Painful Weight. Let's add that. And then it's going to load into a new unified layer. These are multis, so it's a lot of parts. Let's map it down so it's just in the lower half of the keyboard. So, Percussa's adding this. Go to Cloud City. Maybe we go to the down tempo. Everybody works together. Maybe we want more bass. I need a little bit more bass in the left-hand part. Let's go to BPM bass. Load this into Unify. People are asking about legality of unifying Omnisphere 2 libraries. Yeah, you know, if you're dealing with third-party libraries, it's something you can kind of do for your personal use, but you can't share them. Please don't share a third-party library online because you've paid for that library. The thing to do would be to contact the developer that made the library and say, I'm unifying this library. If I unify it, would you include it for other people? You know, asking that way, I think, is the proper way to do it. But you can't put them online because the patches, I've even been hesitant because of the way things are. I'm not so sure I want to unify all of like Omnisphere's library, the factory patches. Now, if this isn't the right bass line, solo, open Unify, go to the library, and now you can try different patches. That might be a little fast, but let's try it. Now, in a case like this, halftime might work, so you could solo this, see what you have to do. So it's just the top one. It's a MIDI box, which is easy because you just go down here to your division factor and say 1/2. Because I've added so many parts and they're all at 0 dB, I'm cranked. See my output's a little hot. So hold down Option or Alt, grab the volume and just turn it down like by like 5 dB. So it's so fun to have so many libraries to choose from and work with in such creative ways. It's really, really fun. So we started with Zembla from Triple Spiral Audio. We added Padworthy, and I'm just right-clicking on my mouse to change from those 3 solos. I'm gonna use my normal click to add these so I can and then we added Percussa. And then we added a drum groove from Cloud City. And we added a bass line from Cloud City. Put them all together. Cool stuff. So it's really cool. Zembla gives us this whole unique vibe that's available to Omnisphere users and to Unify. It's really, really great. And again, it's on sale for 16.49 euro, which is a crazy good price for an Omnisphere library. 105 presets, 240 sound sources, which means a lot of the patches are using more than one sound source just to make that one patch. It's great. Lots of work went into it. Show some Unify plugin guru love to our third-party developers that are making libraries in Unify. It's so exciting. So I'll point these out when they show up because this to me is a big deal. Can I share this patch? Sure. Let's go. Let's see. This is BPM. We'll call it a Z BPM pad. This is never getting home. You're stuck out in the ice. Save as. I'm going to save this to the user library. We've had a couple questions. People asking about libraries. And if you save with one library, can you change the library? And it's tricky. I've talked to Shane, and at some point I hope we will change it, because we have it where the library is baked into the patch. And so you need to get into the patch, and it's tricky because there's header information for how long the information is, that if you change that, it breaks. And so I think our solution will be to release a free little utility tool to you guys that can change library names and stuff like that and do it properly and right and safely and so forth. So I'm going to go to the user libraries. For example, let's see, go over here. So never getting home, here it is. Compress. Let me go over here to our Dropbox folder. So again, this is going to require you to own Percussa for Omnisphere 2 and Zembla for Omnisphere 2 and Cloud City. Okay, so it's kind of like baking. We were getting ingredients now, and we could start getting more into this with the different libraries, because you guys, so many of you, I see the list of what you guys have bought from my website, and I am like eternally grateful and thank you for your business. And a lot of you guys love to have lots of libraries, and it's wonderful. So we will definitely do some more of this. So let me go over here to the Plugin Guru freebies folder. Unify libraries. You know what I'm going to do? Actually, let's do this. Delete. I'm going to take just a second to say fun live stream patch using the following libraries. It's using Zembla by Triple Spiral Audio, Cloud City by Plugin Guru for Unify. This is for Omnisphere 2 and Unify. And then Percussa Volume 1 for, by Plugin Guru. And here, let's just copy paste. I think that was it. Yeah. So now we can go update, and I'll show you a cool trick. If you get to the user library, well, actually, it's there, easy to see. So Z. Oh, I need to rename it because I gave it the wrong name. So I'll show you some other tricks here. So this is a BPM. Don't worry about we won't do a Z. BPM pad, never getting home. To the user library, BPM pad. Update, because we're updating an existing patch. And then what I do is this. I'll go over here. Oh, it's never getting home is here. That's interesting. So let's say, show this in the Finder. We'll compress it, get it to you. So we go show in the Finder. There it is. So I'm going to, oh, but it's got a Z. We'll remove the Z. One thing you can do, you can rename things in the Finder. And if you go here and update the database, it can update itself, all that kind of stuff. This name does not reflect, you could rename this to be Oboe, and it would still load up and be called BPM pad never getting home inside of Unify. That's where it's a little confusing, and someday I think we will fix that because it does cause confusion. because the file name doesn't have to be the same in Unify as it is on your hard drive. So that's a little bit of a confusing factor. So let me put this into the Dropbox and give you a link. Plugin Group freebies, Unify libraries, put this over here. And copy the link. And then we'll go to the chat and paste. There you go. See what you guys are talking about. Yes. Eventually, all the patches from all our plugins in one central spot, right on Lowell. That's what's fun with this, is that, you know, we're building a little watering hole where all of these plugins are there just drinking away. And you can say, hey, I'd like to work with you and combine it to make your sounds. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, you just have to be careful when you're dealing with patches for Omnisphere that are from third-party libraries. If they don't require samples, then anybody that owns Omnisphere can just load that patch and it works. So you don't want to just, you know, put that online because you're giving away work someone else did without permission. You just don't want to get into that territory. Okay. I think that's the extent of what I wanted to cover. And then with the free time, which we have a little of, UniChill is still on sale until the middle of this week. So many of you have bought this. Thank you for your business. Matthias, thanks you very much. I hope I'm saying his name right. I don't think I'm saying his name right because but I wanted to make a little. There's a couple things coming. Saif Samir has made some really nice demo songs, and he's actually given me the MIDI files and the actual projects for Fruity Loops, I believe, for the PC. I have one that I did as a demo in Logic Pro. We're going to put them all together and give you a bonus probably after the sale ends, because I like to do stuff like that. I mean, you know, it's like, okay, it's off sale, but we still want to give you something because we appreciate our customers. I'm going to make the MIDI files into a song inside of Unify, so you can play the demo song by playing a note, and it will play the demo song as well. So that's still coming for UniChill, as well as bonus stuff. So let's just play for a little bit with bonus. I'm going to start with, let's start with a groove. And let's find the groove we want. That's kind of fun. So what would we add to that? We want to add some sort of a happy bumpy bass. I'm going to use DX'd. I'm going to go down here. Yeah, DX'd. Bass bank. That's Daniela saying. I don't see a question from Danielle. But UniChill has absolutely no description in the patches. Will this be fixed? I don't think so. Some of them say, you know, listen, chill, enjoy. It's pretty straightforward how to use these. You know, the name, the descriptions of the patches is there. Matthias didn't take the time to do any more than just a basic description. And I'm not going to take the time to go back and do this to the, how many patches is it? 255 patches. That's a lot to do. And so I don't think that will be done. Again, it's pretty straightforward how to use these. So I'm going to use our buddy Blue Arp on the MIDI effect. I'm just going to, if you click right here in the little yellow plus and add a MIDI effect, Maybe I want this to be up an octave. Now I don't want it to sound like this bass. It's almost, it's not the like that. Take it up an octave. Maybe we'll have another bass along with this. So let's go over here to OBXD. And I'm going to go down here to bass deep. Let's get also another blue ARP. Bring up the LFO, and it says pitch, right? But if I don't click any of the pitch and I click filter, it now becomes an LFO for the filter. And I gotta choose the waveform. They don't have tempo sync, so I'm just gonna find something that gives a little motion. Let's give it a little bit of little stereo fun down here with a different oscillator. This might be fun one to use as unison. So we go from this. I'm going to right click on the key ranges and bring this down to B2 for both. So once I hit B, I go above this. I can even tell the drums by right clicking and hitting B2. There's nothing in the right hand now. So I'm free to go to layers. Let's add a new layer. I'm going to go to Guru Sampler. I want to use maybe a Martin steel string guitar. But I'm going to do, I want to be really filtered. Let's go over here. Let's right click on the bottom and set that at C so it doesn't play in the bass range. I want to pad. So let's go over here to Guru Sampler, pad. Okay, not quite right, but we can fix it up to be really cool. So let's filter it down. We have our new LFO that can be tempo synced. Let's go to our curve shape. Let's go to custom because I want to do something fun. And I'm going to turn it to be slow, like one measure. Right? Because I'm going to open this up. I'm going to go to the presets. I love using the numbered presets, like say like 8 step down. not just a repeating bang, bang, bang oscillator. It's got a little bit of variations to it. I want to double in here, so I'm going to put 2 extra points. All right, so at this point, we want to get the pad out of the left hand. So we right click on the low zone range and we hit C. So now it's just here. Let's control the range. Piano added, and I'm going to grab a patch so it adds the effects and everything of a finished patch, and then we're going to tweak the guitar a little bit, and this will be a good start. So go to key, Perfect Ballads. Let's try that. So let's load that into a new Unify layer, right click on the low range and hit C. Now, I don't want it to sound like a DX7, like I want it to be unrecognizable. So with this DX, let's look at our frequencies that are being used. Where's our little bright tine? Speed things up. Now it's got a bright thing. It sounds kind of like a DX, but it's not your usual DX. And so that will work to have that attack should be. Let's turn these guys down just a little bit. Now let's look at our auxiliary buses. We have a delay, so let's bring that up on our pulsing pad. And my guitar, I want longer release. I want more velocity to it. A little bit snappier. And I want the guitar to do that automatically. I don't want to rely on you guys having to play. So let's go over here on the guitar part, solo it. Click the little yellow plus, go over here to arpeggiators to blue arp, and then right up here are the presets. And these are really nice to just surf through. Just hit plus a whole bunch, play a chord. And it's got this octave. Let's have it add a couple notes here and there, but have them be random single notes. Because it's in the random column, it will randomly pick one of the notes you play. And go over here to gate time and let's make those notes short. So click this to be shorter. And I want velocity to be harder. This is why I wanted to make sure when I was programming it, I made it velocity sensitive. So now it's a little static. So go over here, creative jitterbox. Give it like maybe 30 or 25 milliseconds of randomness to play with. Put some reverb on it. And then I'm gonna stop everybody up here. Oh wait, not there, not you. Just the top notes to stop at B, because I want to add an environmental ENV. Let's add some ocean waves. So we say add this to Unify, hit the bottom note and make it only up here. Go to MIDI, set it to latch, and take it down a couple octaves. And now I got ocean waves. I need a Mai Tai, but I can. Now, to make the ocean a little bit better, let's program it a little bit. Turn on the low pass filter, and then go over here to like a triangle waveform. Make it slow. A little bit less resonance, and we just want it to be uni instead of bi. I don't want to go into the negatives. Let's turn on their filtering stuff. Let's use this to high pass the low end a little bit. There. I got some nice ocean waves dancing and I'll finalize this. I don't trust these earbuds. They're not my 64 audio earbuds, so I can't finalize it like I normally would want to. But let's go save to UniChill. This is a BPM pad. Oh, this is a split. BPM. Well, these are in the BPM ARP category, so we'll keep it there for this library. All the ARPs. ARP just basically means in this library, the more complex things. And Wabo, Cabo, chill time. All right, so go BPM ARP. And I will make comments. I always make comments through the patches that I do for, not all the time, but created during a live stream. The March 27th live stream. And I'll add some comments to their save as. Save. So that will be included. There's another BPM ARP that I did that you don't have in this library yet. And I'll try to make maybe one more. But Skyscrapers, oh, I'm still spelling it wrong. Oh, Skippy, my gosh. Skyscrapers 1P. There. I think there's supposed to be more to this. Let's see, load it one more time. Why isn't the vintage drum kit playing? Oh. I'll have to fix that. It's missing its drum groove. Okay, that'll be fixed. So this is the last week that this will be a on sale introductory price library. Toby, I'm not so sure I want to make the Kinophonium library just to MIDI channel 1. They might change how it works. And so we're going to let it just pass through the MIDI data stuff. They might do something to it in the future so that then it does respond to different MIDI channels and so forth. So let's just leave it. I'm not that concerned about it. If you want to do it for your own, all the unified libraries, just so you guys know, are just .unify files. So if you want to overwrite them and change them and edit them, you can do that. You're free to do that, of course. It's just protected libraries we have where you can't overwrite them. So it's easy if you want to do something like that to go through and do the edit and save it to the patches if that's something you really want to do. Let's see. Any questions? I got to see what's going on. I've been doing my agenda thing. I gotta see. Let me see. Where's the MIDI file I'm missing so I can fix this? It's missing spot want to live. Okay, so that should be in the Unify standard library. Unify standard library, MIDI files, drum kit, super pop grooves, want to live. Huh. Yeah, it's not, the library is not, the folder's not there. Strange. It's supposed to be there. Is this the demo? No. Okay. I'll have to figure out what happened here because that shouldn't be the case. Darn, MIDI files missing. I don't know what happened there. A lot of data I'm trying to manage these days. My goodness. Anyway, let's do our shout outs. I think we have 8 voice has been unified. Yes, the 8 voice from Cherry Audio is here. It's available. If you guys want to see the master list, if let's see. Let's say that you check on a YouTube video or something for the link to a library and it doesn't work. Always go to this page. This page has the master latest versions updated of all of the unified libraries right here at just scroll down the page and they're all here. 8 voices right here. So you can click that. It will take you to the page to do the download, to get the file, drag it over. Now you have it if you have 8 voice installed. Access to all sorts of effects. Right? So all sorts of fun stuff to play with. This is the dark skin. You can change by hitting the little settings and go right here to be whether you want the classic or the black theme. I like the black theme. It's pretty cool. All right, where are you guys shouting out from today? Where in the world are you at? Shout out from Florida. Good to see you, Martin. Shout out from Portland. I hope you guys liked the little tutorial things. I wanted to get a little bit more instructional. I think in future live streams, you might look at a specific plugin, specific instrument inside of Unify and dive into all of the components of it. Thank you, Ken. Glad you guys are enjoying the live stream. I'm trying to get as much of what is here across to you guys. So I appreciate confirmation that some of it's getting there. We got Florida, UK, France. Yeah, it's good to see you. Boulder, Colorado. My heart goes out to Colorado for the last week. That was very sad what happened there. Denmark. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Stockholm, Sweden. You guys are around the world. Bonnery in Switzerland. Good to see you as always. Tom and George in Utah. St. George, Utah. Georgia, Utah. Pat King in Quebec. Nice. Shout outs from Sweden. Yeah, I'll tell you, the 8 voice for the price that they're asking for it, I think it's almost to go off sale. You've got very small amount of time left. 8 voice. Let's see, is it still on sale? Cherry Audio. Let's see here. Let's find it. Cherry 8 voice VO price. Let's see. Is it still on sale? Yeah, it's still on sale for $29 instead of $49. It's definitely a bargain for what you get. It is a wonderful sounding synth. I was talking to Shane about, I think the one edge that they have, I personally like the sonics of OBE from our friends at GeForce, which we have also unified the patches for. But 8 voice on the programming, there's just a lot of really great bread and butter. Really cool, just straight ahead patches. The basses just go all over the place and are it's got a nice retro vibe to it. You know, the BPM bass patches, it's just got a little bit of an edge in not quite so artistic with some of the patches and being a little bit more straight ahead. So what is with Kinophonium because of this shout out? Well, with Kinophonium, we had to do an update because the new version of Kinophonium, they changed the name of their modulation targets. If you go to the link parameter page inside of Kinophonium, it used to be called VCO1 OCT, right? Well, they went through and put full names to everything, which broke all of our knobs for every patch. So if you have the old version of Kinophonium and you're not going to update, don't update, because this update is for the new version of Kinophonium so that if you need a dirty, raw, like, oh my gosh, I don't think there's anything in software that does what Kinophonium can do. It just has something to its personality, to the filter. I was involved in the factory voicing of this, and I can vouch that it's really hard to find a filter that has this raw of a there's nothing like this. It's just like, oh my gosh, what the heck? The modulation, the LFO goes way into frequency, audible range. It's great. I was able to get Airwave to work with this too, and he found some really cool stuff that he always does. So if you say AW up here, you'll find all the Airwave patches that somewhere there's a AW for saws. I was like, wait. It's crazy. So we had to do some things. Shane went through and fixed all the knob assignments with the revision tools that we have. They don't bill you for the new version if you already own it. No, it's just an update. Go to their updater and re-download Kinophonium, and it's like version 1.3, I think, something like that. Version 1.2. So if you want to know, you can open up Kinophonium, click Brainworks little logo, and down here in the corner, it will tell you the version. This is the update for version 1.2 is what we revised the Unify library for. The patches, they will load and play both versions of the unified library. But if you go to the knobs, if you have the 1.2 update and you have the old version, the knobs won't work. And if you have the old unified version and 1.2, then the knobs won't work. So it's good to just get to 1.2. Crazy. Hey, Tim made it. Yeah, they don't charge for updates. So you can update if you own it already. You're welcome. All right. Good to see you, Tim. Bye. By the way, Tim's library is next. So starting next week, probably next week, maybe the week after. I'm not sure. We'll get together and work on it, but I don't have to update if this is a suggestion. You don't have to update, correct? It'd be neat for Shane and to do a short video on a day in the life. Show a bit of their life. No, you don't want to see that. I come here and sit down and work until 3 in the morning. We Skype. Maybe we'll do something like that at some point, but you know. Yes. Yeah, the Blue Art guys, they're working on a whole bunch of things. Some things we can talk about, some things we can't talk about. Very exciting what they're doing. But yes, they're working on a hardware piece. Version Blue Art in hardware. Be so cool. Yes, Eric Van Vis. Is he here? What kind of sounds in Tim's library? Big sounds. He programs the daylights out of Unify and really pushes it into some new territory. So, hi, Dominique. How are you doing, Dominique? So we're about to wrap up our live stream. We'll be showing you, oh, my darn ears. These earbuds are just going to drive me nuts. Yes, last week's was a lot of fun. When we had Herbie Hancock and Steve Picaro and Jordan Rudis and Jack Hotop and Houston Singletary that was here in the room for a while. I don't know if he's still here. And Matthias that worked on UniChill. We'll do a live stream with Tim Dale when we do his library. I also want to interview Shane. Shane doesn't know this yet, but we'll interview him at some point. Want to have a chance for people to know about Shane and his background, what he's done, stuff like that. So all sorts of fun stuff. We'll have all sorts of fun. Now that I have a Zoom membership, look out. I might just interview a whole bunch of you guys too. Who knows? Anyway, be well. Have a great week. I'm leaving Sunday to go to Oceanside. I can't wait. 3 days. I got a little Airbnb place right on the ocean shore. Hopefully see some whales swimming by. Might fly my drone out and get some video footage of the whales if I can. It might be very fun. Yes, Dr. Shane. Yeah, we must interview. Oh, no. No, we want to know. Shane's got an interesting background. He's come from a great place. He's doing great things. And yes, we should know. Everybody should know what's going on with the Shane. Yeah, I agree. So get ready, Shane. All right, you guys, be well. Enjoy all the unified libraries. For those of you late, let me play this first for a minute because this is so fun. I have to play it for a minute, and then we'll wrap this up. I started today's live stream with this patch that is based on a really cinematic kind of alternate version of the Miss Miller piano, which is a piano you can get from, I think it's Miss, is that, let me get the right name. Is it Miss Miller or Miss Mills piano? So this started out originally with, doesn't sound like the original piano at all. Because I've stretched it and I'm doing some things to it to give it. And then I have a whole bunch of other sounds hidden with knobs. Let's get these all turned on so everybody is up to date, and then I can turn the parts. Got that in there. So you can go in all sorts of cool places. Fun. So this patch is available. I put it in the description. I'll put it in the video description as well, but it requires you to own BBC Symphony Orchestra Core Edition for these two sounds. Right? Then you have to own the Miss Mills piano, which is $29 right now. And then Omnisphere 2 and Percussa to get these two sounds. This is from the Percussa Cinematic Percussion Library I created. Notice I'm able to hit solo, I'm able to hit all sorts of buttons. Here's Hive from the recently unified Hive library, now available. So turn all of these parts off. So we can go all sorts of crazy places with our real-time controls inside of Unify. We'll be doing a video to explain this because it does take a couple steps to get it to work with other controllers. But if you have any hardware controller that has knobs on it, you definitely would want to have the ability, as you can see, to just push buttons and does Percussa require any third-party plugins? No. So Percussa is a library for Omnisphere. I created it, 3 years ago? It's a straight-up library for Omnisphere that's now been unified. So you need to own Omnisphere 2. Omnisphere. It's a library that's kind of fun. I've got a drum kit, drum groove library for Contact called Mega Macho Drums, which is now called Super Macho Drums, actually. And I took a lot of the samples from there that were the more cinematic, weird kind of samples and put them into Omnisphere. And Airwave and myself and a gentleman from Florida named Casey Baldwin worked together, and we made this library that's just super, super cool. Go to Percussa. It's all these. You have both the kits and the grooves for everywhere from 110 to 100, actually like 89. Some of these are just stunningly, awesomely, incredibly cool. I love this library. Let's see here. Shadow of Death is a super cool. Let's see, we're at 100 beats per minute. Let's make sure I go to Unify and tell it to be at 100 beats per minute. But there's so much to this library that's take your hands off. I figured out how to modulate to get the feedback of the delay in Omnisphere to like give you that tape delay feedback. Toms and stuff are hitting on the mod wheels for things. Well, Howard Jones. Here's from like Imagine Dragon. And then Airwave did some things that are just off the charts. You get down here to the Rotterdam Triplets Bangers. March of the Oars. But there's no big samples in the library per se, like big drums, like most cinematic libraries are just big, taikos. This is all programmed with programming to make these sounds. It's crazy stuff. Dance with a half pipe. You heard this inside of the groove I played you, right? So it's a cool library, but it samples in Omnisphere doing drums, which is, I don't know anybody else that has done a library to this point where cinematic percussion using the arpeggiator of Omnisphere was powering all these. Everyone has different. That's how the whole library is built. And then if you go to the patch version, there's like every one of these elements from every one of these is pulled out into separate patches. And then the kits is a version where the sounds used to make the groove are available just across the keyboard. But it's very different than what we can do inside of Omnisphere with all the parameters and stuff we can do with modulation and so forth. I love Dated Veil at Night. I love this one. This is. Especially because the mod wheel goes to a dystopian kind of pad. And then bring the mono back down. fades away. And these things are so fun to play with all the other libraries. Like, combining this with a BPM pad is really cool. BPM even the PolyMods. They all work so nice together to cool things. Get a beat from the drum. And of course, we're at 150 beats per minute, so that's not going to work with some of the drums. Anyway, I could play all day, you know. It's so fun. Okay. Okay, well, Percussa is a complete mind-blowing experience. It's probably the deepest thing I think we've done with Omnisphere. The OMG libraries are equally deep in a different way, but those are really fun. Okay, let's see. Thank you all, you guys. Yeah, too much fun. It's always too much fun. I get doing this stuff. I just want I'm sitting a chance to sit here and play music. I mean, geez, no, it's a no-brainer. I'll hang out here. So stay tuned for next week. Should be fun. I might have some whale footage and who knows what. But thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. Shout outs to all. We'll see you later. Okay.